Here we go. Pick one, pack one. We've got ourselves a Vampire Cleric Blood Priest, which looks good. It enters the battlefield and attacks. If you have no cards in hand, it deals 2 damage to any target. I think we'll give that a shot. I do think that the Vampire Noble here is pretty good. We'd hope to wheel him. Just a lifelinker 1-drop that helps you get aggressive. There's not a lot of other great things that I would like. I do know that if we wanted to do the zombie deck, this is a really nice way to put some extra zombies on the board. Create a 2/2 zombie when it comes in. And this Noose Constrictor is very highly regarded in the green-white deck. But let's go with the Priest for pick one. And consider Vampire Madness stuff. Although, if you have no cards in hand, I mean, it has Madness, but we don't have to be a Vampire Tribal here on this sucker. It's just kind of neat that it's a 3-mana card that we can enable and get 4/4 and hit the deck early. I like taking that swing more than a guaranteed 2/2 with reach and a board pump for a card kind of deal. Zombie Soldier here for the Lord. And a Vampire Berserker here that really utilizes Madness. Plus, it pumps itself, +1/+1. That's pretty solid. It's in our colors. We have another Vampire in our colors. More zombies. Hope Against Hope is not something that I think is worth reaching out to. It's not bad if you're planning on going wide. And Clear Shot is an excellent removal spell if green is your color. But it's not worth necessarily abandoning the Vampire when I feel like the 2-mana Vampire that self-pumps and is kind of neat is over here. Alchemist Greeting is a really nice Madness card as well. And maybe the pick, to be honest with you. I think we'll do this instead. I kind of like the idea of having some more interaction and using that Madness to do this than this. We'll get another shot at that, but I'm not so sure there's going to be a lot of burn spells that come our way. And right off the bat, the Thermal Alchemist. This is a really neat defender card that also pings 1 damage over and over again. We can untap it every time we cast a spell, and there's another Blood Mad Vampire that hopefully wheels along the way. The Druid's not bad in the human deck, and I don't think Fleeting Memories is that powerful, but this is a pretty clear pick for us here. We got a little Sorin. As an additional cost to spell, you sacrifice a creature or land and then draw 2 cards. Good for gaining back some cards, but kind of expensive. We would almost want to make sure that we had a token or 2 to do that, and I don't think that we are. So we'll stick with the Alchemist and feel really strong about our colors getting there. We don't have a lot of Vampire synergy yet, but that's okay. We do have a Vampire that we can cast. He's kind of vanilla 3/3 for 3 for using Madness. Return up to 1 target instant card and up to 1 target sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand, and then discard a card. That's actually not that bad in enabling some Madness kinds of pieces along the way. And so far we've got 2 things that are Madness. One thing that's a Vampire that doesn't have any vampiric synergy to it. So I think that we are a Madness deck at this moment right now more than anything. And we could use the enablers, especially because of the Thermal Alchemist. A sorcery card like this will untap the Thermal Alchemist and allow him to be tapped again if we're not afraid of what the crackback looks like. So some spells to go along with this actually create synergy in all 3 picks that we've got. So that's my pick. May not be the right one, by the way. There's that Vampire that we were looking for. It does have Madness, cost of 4, and you'd get a 5/3. Unfortunately, it's going to attack each time, so it's just a 5/3 missile that keeps coming over and over again. An instant card and an instant card here. This is more of a board pump, but I would like to put some bodies out of this first pick on the deck. We have a body here, but I'd like to have some more threats in the Madness category too, and not just spells that go along the way. So let's go with the Gorger as opposed to the card draw spell or the destroy target. Very, very slow kind of deal. Not our color. Really good if we were in the blue-black Dimir deck, but we're not. So Gorgers it is. And here we return 2 target creature cards from the graveyard and then discard a card kind of cool. Good way to sort of make the enabling thing happen. This one does a similar kind of thing, a cheaper return to creature target creature cards or just draw two cards. I think we're gonna want to do this. This is an excellent card to pick, but not our colors and not worth the pivot at this point right now. I kind of like the idea of this because I don't want to wait for my graveyard to have to be full before I get a chance to cast some instant or sorcery cards. I think on turn 3 we've got some reasons to do that. So the Tormenting Voice it is. And some more bodies, we're using Madness and we're enabling Madness with some of these, right? So we're going to have to assume Madness cost on most things. This is not the best card for 3 mana, and this is only good in the human deck or the go wide strategy. Neither one is there, but we are seeing a lot of white human cards swing back. There are still a vampire to pick, and we do still have something here that would make some zombies, so we can kind of stay within our colors though. Make Mischief is kind of a neat little um, sorcery card, creates a body, does a damage. I'll take that, actually. I think that there's a little bit more synergy. And now we've got some mana fixing for us. Um, this Griff is nice, but only if you've got a blue. This Epitaph is a good blocker. And a good way to cycle some things back out of the graveyard. And the Deranged Whelp is an excellent two-body land because it's just hard to block. But it just there's no reason for us to take the hit here. We can take the land. We're still at 7 playables in our first 8 picks and a land that we can use. So I don't think there's any reason for us to be desperate and start going out. Let's see if we can maximize the value on every card that we select. Another sorcery spell, and we've really got some black-red sorcery kind of theme going on. There's also this 1-drop in our hand here. And as much as Grotesque Mutation kind of is a board pump, it allows the Thermal Alchemist. No, it doesn't. Well, maybe as a blocker. It'd be an interesting thing to toss on him as a blocker. Huh. But there'll be a lot of Grotesque Mutations that are out there, and we really could use the on-color body just to kind of help give us something to do on the early sides. And we're rewarded with another Blood Mad Vampire. Blood Mad Vampires are perfect for what we're looking to do. Madness cost of 2 along the way. Hits the deck, self-pumps. This was one of the ones we were, I think, hoping to wheel. And so we're very happy about the wheel there. Borrowed Hostility is only 1 mana to give a target creature +3. This is 2 mana to do +3/+1. I think I kind of like this one better just because of the first strike available for the 4 mana is a little bit more offensive and it's a little bit lower on the mana so we can get it out there a little bit quicker. We have a werewolf as a conduit of storms, and we've got a vampire that will kind of have some madness cost. I'm just not guaranteeing that we're going to get the vampires' bodies. I think that we're better off sort of focusing on getting those bodies down. Another 1-drop, another spell card. We're up to kind of even Stevens on both, so we're kind of caught back up. I guess we'll take the skeleton knowing that it's the least likely card, and Hope Against Hope wheeled all the way around. I should tell you a little bit about it. The Hydra was pretty cool. Another land cards in there. We've got probably the best enabler that I can think of. You get to discard a card, give flying to your 2/2. So you're enabling madness. You've got something on the deck. It is a 2-drop body. It is just everything the doctor ordered. This is a removal spell that's for later in the game. It can be very, very devastating when used against you, but it's not the easiest because you got to have those extra bodies available as well. And what I've experienced, black doesn't always. If it wheels, I would take it. But right now, we've already got to make mischief. I think that getting the 2-drop that enables the mischief is better. Stitcher's Graft is a brutal piece of equipment to attach. We got a lot of white cards riding down. Ooh. This spell costs 2 less if there are 4 or more, and she's got flying. This is a pretty solid game win con. Better than this, I think. Um, Essentially, whenever it's equipped, it doesn't untap, and whenever it attacks, whenever it comes unattached, that permanent gets sacrificed. So it's just like a one-time missile that you get to shoot, and then you're killing whatever it is to do it to something else. It's not the best mana sink out there. It's kind of like turning something into a guaranteed trade. The Dusk Feaster has the opportunity to take over the game. And her art is just, I love the red that they used on her art. So that's our pick. We have an Angel that isn't bad. That's here with Delirium, but it's in white, and that's not going to help us that much. The Hostilities is not the best use of this pick, unfortunately. Neither is the Mutation. It would be a bit of a speculation to take something else. We could do like a red-white splash, but splashing 2 white pips just isn't the name of the game. I guess I'm investigating over here with a 3-mana artifact. Nah, I'll just take the spell. I'll take the spell. I was thinking about some fun things I could do with it. Discard a card and create a 1/1 Black Vampire Knight creature token with lifelink. Only do it once per turn, but it's only 1 mana. Oh my gosh, it's like a crawling infestation, only I get to discard the cards myself. Oh yeah, that is a snap. Because that means madness all over the place. Turn 2, you cast it. Turn 3, you're putting out 1/1 vampires that have lifelink on there, and you just keep going. Now that we know we can go wide, or at least a little bit wider in the vampire side of things, we should start looking at some of those sacrifice synergies, specifically like the removal spell that we were looking at that had the, kill something and then kill 2 of theirs kind of thing. Another card draw, a zombie. Nothing spectacular jumped off the board on me. I kind of really like the Call of the Bloodline. We pick up another Berserker, or another Vampire, I should say. This one comes with Trample, and if you, at the beginning of your combat, you get to discard a card, so it's another Madness enabler. I don't see the word Madness on any other card here, but we're really happy with how the deck is coming together. Maybe one card that I'm not excited about playing, 2 at most, but nah, I like this card. So, yeah, exactly the curve that we want. And this is the board pump we were talking about. We do have another Madness Vampire that we're going to get a chance to cast, but this is the first strike +2 vampires go wild kind of spell. I can see Call of the Bloodline sinking 3-4 vampires out onto the deck, and a Vampiric Fury really kind of cleaning out an entire board stall that's on there. Go wide vampires. We want the Vampire Lord. That's the one that we're looking for the most. Another Vampiric Fury would be good to have. This is great to have. We slid into the right column here. Village Messenger is a one-man body that can transform. So you don't cast you don't cast anything on turn 2, and then you've got a 2/2 with menace on turn 3. Not the best. There's another better 1-mana drop creature that's out there. The Ingenious Scab though is excellent in the spell decks that are out there. Whether you're playing like a red blue spell deck. There is the other Vampiric Fury we were hoping for. Borrowed Grace is a very similar card, but overall costs 5 mana to do. This thing costs 2 mana to essentially, give the +2 just like the Borrowed Grace, but then give the first strike so that as long as the +2 wins, it doesn't really matter what the vampires are as far as defensive is concerned. So think of it like Borrowed Grace divided by 3 as far as cost is concerned. Just pretty cool. Make Mischief is another spell that we could use. The Waltz is more about enabling madness, but I feel pretty strong about our madness enabling, and I'd rather do something with the spells that I cast, like, affect the board, create some wide guys. Sometimes that 1 damage can do more than you think. we're not riding anybody down. We're not going to have white, and white was clearly open. We'll just take the spell in red, not excited about Rush of Adrenaline, not thinking it's going to become a playable. Again, though, this is pretty cool. As a spell, I would rather have Borrowed Hostility with 1 mana, 3, and then a possible way to turn it into a first striker and a removal spell in a fight. I guess we would take the Griff just for value. And for testing purposes, we'll take the Resolve. I don't need any more Borrowed Hostilities. Yeah. None of these cards are going to make the cut, unfortunately. Going into pack 3. Blood Mist. Dedication Stone. Exile target creature and all other creatures with the same name. Got it. Accursed Witch. Attracts the attention and then enchanted player. Spells you cast cost 1 less at the beginning of the enchanted player's upkeep. That player loses. We do have a Vampire Berserker that enables Madness and fits in the 2-drop slot, and we do have the double strike enchantment for the flyer that could be pretty tasty. I think, though, our creature count is a little low, so I am going to take the creature on that one and not the double striker on 4. Another Fury and another Vampire. I can really see us leaning into the Vampire Tribe here on this and maybe not as many spells. Sometimes a 3/3 body isn't a bad thing to have either, but yeah, I think we'll take our third Vampiric Fury. We'll take the body. If we wheel it, we wheel it, and if we don't, that's okay. This is another nice 2-drop that's available, and I think that loading up on vampires is the right play at this moment right now. We definitely loaded up on spells, so we get a chance to see. Fiery Temper seems like a great spell here. We don't need another Vampiric Fury over this. It deals 3 damage to any target and has a madness cost of 1. This is ideal for our deck, right? We are a madness deck. We love the idea of a removal spell for 1. That spell's making the cut, no doubt about it. Another fast land, if we'd like, in our colors. An Incendiary Flow deals 3 damage to any target, and if a creature dealt this damage would die, you get to exile it. Really pretty solid card for 3 mana. I am not that concerned about our 2 colors needing to be smoothed out with additional lands that are on there. So I think that the one color, the one smoothing out, land is great. This is not going to wheel. This could wheel. So we take the spell, the really powerful spell, and oh my god, we got another one. Well, just when I thought that I was free, they bring me back. We'll take the Fury. We've got enough creatures as it stands right now that I'm not freaking out. And if we're upgrading our creatures, wow. We are a burn deck. A madness burn deck. Kind of cool. We are going to be very aggro, very mean. Hopefully we've got the kind of removal necessary to make this thing work. The Wretched Griff is good. Nothing's going to play in our hand here. We're not trying to enable Delirium or any of those things. So I'll take the Griff just because I want to test it out later. And I didn't think this would wheel, but it did, so we'll take that too. We'll test it out before we jump in there to see. I did think we were going to get something like this to wheel. So we can do that. And nothing in here for us. Mill 3 cards, return a card, get a spider out there. I guess we'll take the body on the off chance that we really cannot seem to find a finisher, and another Vampiric Fury. I'm really glad I didn't take any of those in the beginning packs, and we got much higher value out of those picks that are there. We're not playing the Golem. I don't know. 3 mana body, Wolf doesn't really fit with what we're looking into. But because it's in our colors, we'll take. Blue and white, you're always there for me at the end. Okay, so we went vampire crazy. And specifically, we went vampire mad. Um, if we look at our deck here and we type in the word mad, these are the madness cards that we've got. So essentially, we're going to try to cast those for 1. We're going to try to cast those for 2. We're going to try to cast that for 3. We'll keep that one in the 4 slot, but it's not 2 red, it's 1. I don't think that's going to make that big of a difference. Cast that for 3 and cast these 2 for 2. So what I've got at this moment is a curve that looks more like this in the picture, not like this 2.7 that are in there. And that's if we do all the madness, right? So madness enablers are going to be things that say discard. Call of the Bloodline is a great madness enabler, creating a 1/1 every time we discard and only costing us 1 mana to accomplish it. I think that that is one of our win cons, is just go wide. And then we're going to, since we're going to be going wide, the Vampiric Fury first striker 3/3s is going to get nuts. So this, with the Vampiric Furies, I feel like is the answer. But we do have a lot of discard capability because we can do this and make her a 3/1 every time if we're trying to enable it, and probably trade up quite a bit. So we're 1/3 on blocking, and we're 3/1 on attacking, and we're enabling the madness costs of the other ones. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you get to discard a card, and if you do, we get a +3. So essentially, one of the best ways for us to do this, because for 2 mana, we get to enable a madness, so essentially like gaining another mana back out, so it's like a 1 mana cost. And then we're also getting an opportunity to put +3, turn this thing into a 4/2 on attack. And then this one goes into the air every time we discard. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 creatures. It's kind of a creature, kind of not a creature, but a 6th creature-esque way of discarding cards. Plenty for the amount of madness that we're looking to get. That's in there. And then on the flip side of that equation, there we go. It's like there's something weird happening there. We've got all these sorcery cards, burn cards with madness on them are definitely making the cut. But these types of cards here, not likely. Let's take a look and see what happens when we do this and this. And I'm not so sure a 1-drop is actually worth it in this deck. I don't think it is. I do think that we're going to need some top-end threats along the way here, right? I don't need the Tormenting Voice. There's just not enough for it. I think the Grotesque Mutation doesn't make the cut. I hate to lose a spell enabler, but we have so much burn, right? We're just looking at non-creature spells for the Thermal Alchemist. Whenever you cast an instant or a sorcery spell, you untap 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think that's enough. I think I'll take the direct burn instead of the attacking all the time. Problem with the attacking is eventually they get used to it, right? Is that the deck? The average is going to be a little bit lower than what you're seeing because of the madness on, how many cards did we say? There is madness that saves you 2 mana here twice, so that's 4 mana missing. This one saves you 3 mana twice, so that's 6 mana, so that's 10 mana that we would take off the average. This one saves you 1 mana, so that's 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 14, 14. So out of the 24 cards that are in our deck, if we would subtract 14 off of them, you could just pop your calculator out here and go 14 divided by 24. And that's a 0.58 difference, right? So you want to subtract 0.58 from this average because of how the madness stuff works in order to get a sense of um, what we're looking at. And the answer is 16 lands, because even at 16 lands, I have been flooding like crazy. Probably 8 on the red. So we'd have 9 red shots and 8 black shots in the gun there. That's 16 lands. Oh, I forgot we overcut. I'd like to bring a creature back if I could. I don't want to bring a creature back just to bring a creature back, though. I want to bring a creature back for good reason. We bring a big body back, huh? Which one would you rather bring back? A 3/5 or a 5/4 that could become a 6/5 on its own without any interaction whatsoever. Vampiric Fury only gives the +2s to the vampires that you control. And so our Vampiric Fury, spell dance that we're looking to do. But I do think I want the upper deck guy, something to help do more damage at the end, just in case we get just absolutely manhandled. Yeah, I think that's probably the deck, I think. So let's talk it out real quick, and then we might need to take a pause because maybe not actually. People still be sleeping. Cool. We'll put this into testing and see. I don't think I'm familiar enough with the set whatsoever to know if these vampires work. But here's what we're looking at. We've got a lot of vampires in this deck. We've got an engine that allows us to discard a card and create a vampire for it, which works on both sides of the equation. What we were really focusing here was on a Vampire Madness deck because of our pick one, pack one that came through, which was the Bloodhall Priest. The Bloodhall Priest enters the battlefield or attacks, and if you have no cards in your hand, it can deal 2 damage to any target. I don't think we're going to get a lot of chances to utilize that, but the madness in this card and the fact that we can get it down early in the the swing of things, especially if we can put something like a 2-drop down that allows us to discard a card, then we discard it, then we cast it at instant speed on turn 3, right? So turn 2, turn 3. Turn 2, turn 3. As long as we have a red and a black source, we should be fine. So Bloodhall Priest coming down as a 4/4 on turn 3 is the real benefit for the card. It's not a build around kind of card, not in my opinion, but we had so many vampires. And then we ended up going crazy in the end of, I think it was pack 3. We picked up like 3 or 2 Vampiric Furies. The reason why I like this card in this deck so much is because of Call of the Bloodline. Being able to create all of those token vampires means that there's really no limit to how wide we can go. and it's going to be a really cool spot. Discarding a card here, discarding a card here, discarding a card here. We really have these 2-drop Madness Enabler engines, um, five of five of them ready to go, and then that's going to make this and this engine just so much more powerful as a combo. So we hold on to our Furies if we can, in hopes of creating a go wide state, but we don't hold on to them for forever because we know we've got a ton of them. The other synergy that we've got in this deck is the burn side of things. Um, so we talked a little bit about how we've got all the vampires, and then you can kind of see like a lot of vampire bodies are going to be around. So Vampiric Fury has just a ton of targets to hit. But the other thing that we've got is, how do we deal some damage if we are vampires, which have relatively weak, right? Like, they don't always take a hit and keep on ticking. So the way that we're going to get around that is with some of these burny kinds of things. Madness, Enabler, Burn Spell deals 4 damage to target creature. Essentially, removal for 2. Very hard to find in this deck. With the other 2 mana options that are out there, something really kind of fun that we can get an opportunity to do. The other piece to the puzzle is deal 3 damage to any target for 1 mana, as long as we're utilizing the Madness. Definitely going to be utilizing the Madness on these cards. You're picking up a lot of extra mana, so having the Madness Enabler discard engines are a huge part about making these go. But we also picked up, whoops, I need you back. Don't no card me. Whoop. There you go. We picked up this Thermo Alchemist, which is going to mean that those burn spells become even more effective. We've got a 2 mana tapper that's just going to keep tapping damage. Pretty common for us, along with these burn spells, to be able to get through maybe their first 2 or 3 creatures there that they cast, delete them, keep them off the stage, and tap that back the damage with the Thermal Alchemist, and then decide at the end, wait until the end of their turn, keep them kind of in the summoning sickness category out there as we're pinging damage across the way. I really like that idea, and I'm really excited about kind of how the burn spells worked with the Thermal Alchemist in this hand. The Vampiric Fury also will trigger the Thermal Alchemist too, so it's not just those 5 cards, it's also the Incendiary Flow, which is another burn spell that doesn't require Madness to deal the 3 damage. And then we can look at things like, 1, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different damage burn spells. This is going to really be a removal piece. Like, this is just a ton of removal capable creatures that are on the board that are in there. One thing that I see that's missing is card draw, but one thing that's going to help us with that is being able to, once this enchantment is down, just kind of continually throwing those bodies out there, and even if we're not casting another body, we've got a blocker, we've got a lifelinker, we've got a target for the Vampiric Fury. We can deliver damage and then cast a spell and still have the blocker and the Thermal Alchemist for whatever's hitting 2 coming at us. A lot of really good, like there's a lot of games that I think that we win without ever having to get out of the 2 mana spot. We could just literally live like in this 2 mana position, and we can just really deliver a lot of damage. Be very, very frustrating and get very, very wide very quickly. So having all of these 2 mana spells, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 12, 13, 14, 15 of our 23 cards are in the 2 mana spot, 16, 17 below that. So very, very aggressive in my opinion. Weirding Vampire says he's a 4 mana card, but it's really 3 because of the ability to use Madness. And Blood Mist it's kind of like the win con for the Dusk Feaster. We picked up the Dusk Feaster in the first pack. It was another one of those first picks that kind of solidified what's going on. We're not going to get Delirium to like ever, I don't think, because unless I'm willing to, we've got an instant, a sorcery, a land and a creature card. So there are some things that we could do, and it might dictate maybe not getting a madness position in order to get the Dusk Feaster out on an earlier position. If we do that, she's 5 mana. If she's 5 mana, she's a flying 4/5 for 5, which is great. And if we used our 4 mana earlier because we happen to be in control of this game down here, we can use the Blood Mist on one turn at the beginning of combat, so we cast it, and then it's immediately there to utilize. On there, we can give double strike to something like the Bloodhall Priest, which is also going to give it first strike, right? Really put it in a situation where it's going to take out quite a bit of stuff. The Dusk Feaster with double strike is the game winner, right? That's 8 damage a turn. That's flying. That's coming at you, and if you're doing it on time, that's amazing. I don't see an on-time reality. The other aspect of this was if we needed the ground and pound kind of thing. We've got this as just a big beefy body that's in there. I like this card more when you're working with things like the Wretched Gryphs, but we never found an emerge card that was in our colors, unfortunately. So I am questioning whether I want to still keep this here, or if I want to do another Madness Enabler, which I don't think I do, um, especially because it's going to work against our Delirium side of things. If I want to do one of my Make Mischiefs deal 1 damage to a target. So it could be face or it could be a creature. You get to create a red devil, and then when the devil dies, it also does a damage to a target. And so there's kind of a weird world where it's like you cast this thing to finish, and then you attack in, and when they make the block that looks like it's covered. Yeah, I mean, it's almost like forcing them to make a trade, right, with a creature. They've got a 2/3, you've got a 2/2. You want to trade, but you can't punch up enough. So, or maybe he's got like a 4/3, right? As an example, you cast the Make Mischief, and not only do you get the 1/1 blocker that will block a 2/2 on the way back, and trade with a 2/2 on the way back, but you also happen to have the Make Mischief 1 damage, making them force maybe an upside down trade where like a body like this is now going to trade with a 2/2, right? And it costs you 4 to do so. Kind of a cool way to trade up. A bit of an in and out kind of spell. This is another Madness Enabling spell, and this is another individual pump. I do question the Grotesque Mutation not being in the hand, though. The lifelink on this, with the out of nowhere hit on something like the Bloodhall Priest, is just devastating to the opponent because it's going to give you that opportunity to survive, and I think that's maybe the right answer. Grotesque Mutation has that ability to put that life back into our total. Probably going to get something like 5 life, even if it trades out with whatever creature that you're at. Might allow you to take a creature that has questionable toughness and still attack in and survive something blocking it on the weak side of things. I'm looking at this card because it's going to get the +2, and then it's going to get the +3. So you're going to be at 6 mana and at 2 toughness on that attack if you're using the Grotesque Mutation. The other aspect of it, though, is you're going to take in such an amount of life. You're going to take in 6 life on that, and you're also going to re-trigger a Thermal Alchemist if they're sitting on the deck. So you've got just so many good things that kind of come out of that. This draft deck will be called the Bloodhall Dance of Madness. This is not going to fit. I got a better idea. We'll call it just the Madness Dance. Bloodhall Madness Dance. I like the dance word with the Bloodhall piece, right? So I always talk about testing. I am not the draft and run guy that you see on YouTube. I'm the I really want to learn how to use these cards kind of deal. So what I'll do is, and this is going to seem silly, but it's okay. I don't know how to use the cards, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to open this up. We're going to open this up to standard. And this is the most annoying. Oh, wait, not standard. Historic. Right? And then we're also going to take out these colors right here and go down to this historic Shadows over Innistrad Remastered in order to just see what other, copies of the cards that we can put in to make sure that we're testing similar cards. We're running 16 lands, and I feel like 23 is the right number. To make it equal, I feel like when I do 24, I get too much. So we have a Grotesque Mutation in, and we can double that up. We've got another one of those copies. We've got, well, here, see this like Spontaneous Mutation. We're getting rid of all this. Okay. And then we're coming back in here and looking. Incendiary Flow. Not a lot of enablers along the same lines as what we already picked up, which is a bit of a shame. We did want to try the Make Mischief out, so let's throw it in there just to learn it and see what's going on. We did want to try the Blood Mist, and we were considering playing this card, so throwing it in there for testing is fine. I do think that Shreds of Sanity is an option in our deal. And let's do Tormenting Voice. Let's do... Oh man, I like that one, but I don't want to do it. Not get it. I think we'll just put the 1-drops in. I don't think it changes anything, but we have options to put those in if we end up really liking them or feeling like they're a necessary part of what we're doing. So we just rebuilt the deck that we had with a couple of spicy additions, not because we were trying to be spicy, but just because we were trying to fill out the gaps and make the deck work the way we wanted it to work. I'm just moving things to match what the Madness costs are, since we're going to really lean into the Madness pieces on this deck. There they are. And that's really the curve of what we're looking at. We got a few more non-creatures than creatures. I think on the other deck it's like 50-50 right down the middle. So I think this is good. 4 Vampiric Furies, still got the Call of the Bloodline, still got all the enablers, still got a rare in there. We didn't go too far away from our options that are already in when we had to add in new things to it. But adding the Make Mischiefs, the Skeletons, and the Arsonists kind of give us a chance to see like what that, is there a 23rd or 24th card kind of option that I think, maybe is better than what we've currently got in our 23rd or 24th card. So let's go find a match, but it's just going to be bots. We're trying to see how the cards work. We're looking for synergies. We're seeing if we can figure out what a starting hand that looks like. I think the starting hand piece is probably more powerful than you think. And I'm going to go in after this. Oh man, we're going to take a mulligan on that. A little bit better. So we'll say keep 6. Probably drop the Gorger off, and we'll go from there. 2 Blood Mad Vampires, really bad counters, really good if they can get some damage to what's going on. I think a Madness Enabler, but nothing of Madness that is worth casting. So let's go with the let's go with this. Just kidding. But we do have Madness cards. They're over here. Right here. We'll go with that. We can discard a card in order to make something get the +2/+2, but we can't attack with it. So we're just going to say next, and we're going to say end. This is good. recognize the difference between my 3 madness cards. The Woodland Mystic is not going to attack. Well, yeah, okay, yes it is. I'm so curious. Don't think I've ever seen it do that. That's cool. Alright, so we discard a card. We're going to discard our Madness Blood Mad Vampire. Click Submit. The card goes into exile and now has a Madness cost, and we're going to say Auto Pay. Drop it onto the deck as a way to save that, and it also is a way to make the vampire better. Now, unfortunately, that doesn't leave us with any damage there, so we just click Next and we say no and end. It didn't ultimately yield us anything, but I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll take it. Okay. I think we do this, right? No, that was a mistake. I forgot about the minuses. We just say pass, no block. That's fine. My bad. Get out of the way. We're missing an awful lot of damage by not getting rid of that. They are both kind of glass jawed when they want to attack, and getting that Blood Mad Vampire, the first counter is huge, absolutely huge. I think that we can, unfortunately, not cast the Blood Mist. This is a Madness card that's in there, so we do it, right? And we discard this. And then it comes out, and then we do it onto this, and we say auto pay. That gives us the plus, that gives the Blood Mad Vampire the ability to grow even more. What a great card. For a common? Jeez. I'm expecting to lose the Blood Mad Vampire now. Should kill it though, yeah. So, pretty cool. We only have 3 mana and none of it's black, unfortunately. So we can't cast the 4 mana stuff or use the Madness. The best that we can do is this. If you discard this card, put it in exile. When you do, cast it for its Madness cost or put it into your graveyard. So you get a choice at that moment of which way you want to go. We're not able to cast it, so we're not going to do that. We're not, well, yeah, no, we're going to decline here because she can't attack either. So we're just going to tip out a little bit of damage there and click pass and click my turn. I think we do it. Nope. I think we do this. We're going to do the Alchemist Greeting to annihilate whatever they cast, if they cast anything. I think they didn't cast anything. So, unfortunately, not a lot of testing happening here. We were mana locked at 3. We weren't able to cast half the cards that we drew. We pretty handily controlled them in 1. One more round, and then we go in.